hope you are doing great, isn't it? You are spending your time in the house, enjoying. Moreover, I think the 10th standard children, you are studying. You are getting ready for your exam. And now I am going to start the lesson, Advent of Europeans to India for the present 10th standard as well as the previous year 10th standard children. You may take it as revision for you and the new collection for the newcomers. Okay. Now, Advent of Europeans to India. There were trade and commerce relationship between India and Europe since ancient times. There was a great demand for Indian spices. There was great demand for Indian spices like pepper, cinnamon, cardamom, ginger, etc. Okay, so now the trade relationship between Europe and other Asian countries even were taken place even during the Middle Ages. The Arab merchants, they carried the Asian merchandise. What do you mean by merchandise? Merchandise means it is the goods. Merchandise means goods for sale. The Asian merchandise into Constantinople. And now the Asian merchandise into Constantinople. And the Italian merchants would buy these commodities, or they used to buy this merchandise and sell them to the European countries. So that every trade and whatever is happening, that has to happen through the Constantinople. So Constantinople was the center of international trade and was considered as the gateway of European trades. While Arab merchants had gained monopoly over the trade in Asian countries, Italian traders had gained monopoly over trade in European countries. Now next, the fall of Constantinople. The trade and commerce between Asia and Europe was taken place through the city of Constantinople. But in the year 1453, this Constantinople was occupied or captured by the Ottoman Turks. The Ottoman Turks, they captured the Constantinople in 1453, and as a result, all the trade routes connecting to the city of Constantinople came under the control of the Turks. And the Turks started levying too many taxes. The Turks began to collect more taxes for the goods or for the trade whichever was passing through the Constantinople. Now as a result, trade became unprofitable. The trade became unprofitable. Meanwhile, Spain and Portugal were attempting to break the monopoly of Italian traders, and now they started encouraging the sailors to find new sea routes to India. And moreover, the invention of compass, gunpowder provide further impetus on this venture. Now, a new sea route was founded, that is Vasco da Gama. As you all know, Vasco da Gama, a Portuguese sailor. He reached Calicut in 1498. He reached the fort of Calicut in 1498, and he was successful in discovering the new sea route to India. Thus, this route became the trade between India and Europe for many years. The Portuguese were the first to re-establish the trade between India and Europe. There are some European trade companies. With the success of the Portuguese, I told you the Portuguese sailor Vasco da Gama, he was the one who discovered the new sea route to India in 1498. So he gave the way for the other countries to come to trade. That is the Dutch, French and the English, they arrived in India for trade. This development not only changed the history of India, but it also changed the history of European countries. And now, first one to come for trade, and they were the last to leave. They were the last to leave India by the sea route. After Vasco da Gama. After Vasco da Gama. After Vasco da Gama, it was Francisco de Almeida. Okay, after Vasco da Gama, it was Francisco de Almeida who came to India as the viceroy of the Portuguese. It was he, the Francis de Almeida, he was the one who implemented the Blue Water Policy. What is it? Blue Water Policy. Blue Water Policy, because he wanted to have supremacy over the sea. Instead, he doesn't want to have supremacy over the land. Okay, so now after him, the Alfonso de Albuquerque. After Francisco de Almeida, it was Alfonso. Who is it? He is Alfonso de Yes, it is. First I told you in the beginning, it was Vasco da Gama. After Vasco da Gama, it was Francisco de Almeida, and he was the one who implemented the Blue Water Policy. And after him comes Alfonso de Albuquerque. Alfonso de Albuquerque, who came after Almeida, he is considered as the real founder of Portuguese and the empire in India. He waged war. This Alfonso de Albuquerque, he waged war against the Bijapur Sultan. Bijapur Sultan in 1510. He was the one who waged war against this Bijapur Sultan in 1510 and won Goa. He won Goa. Okay, and there the Portuguese had absolute. Now Goa became the administrative centers of the Portuguese administration in India. Thus, Alfonso de Albuquerque, he defeated the Bijapur Sultan in 1510 and he won Goa. And then the Goa became the administrative center of the Portuguese administration in India. Now the Portuguese had absolute monopoly over trade with India for almost a century. But their power declined with the arrival of the English and French in India. So now you learn about Portuguese. Now it is now it is after the Portuguese, it was the Dutch. This Dutch people, they were the people of the Netherlands. They were the people of they were the people of Netherlands. They established United East India Company. These people, the Dutch people, they established United East India Company. United East India Company in 1602. Okay, this Dutch people, they were the people of Netherlands. Okay, they established United East India Company in 1602 with the aim of doing business with Eastern countries. They wanted to do their trade with the Eastern countries and came to countries like Java, Sumatra, Indonesia. They established warehouses. What is warehouses? Warehouse means it is the storing place, the storage place, the storing place of all the commodities. What are the commodities? They would store it in the warehouses and keep it. So they established warehouses in Surat, Braj, Chambay, Cochin, Nagapattinam and Masulipatnam and other places in India. With this, they broke the monopoly of Portuguese in India. Later, unable to face the competition from the English and the French, the Dutch limited themselves. Okay, so now we'll come to English. After the Dutch people, it was the English people. Okay, now after them came the English. Yes, it came, that is the English had come. On 31st December 1600, Queen Elizabeth, what she did? She issued a royal charter authorizing the East India Company to trade with Eastern countries for 15 years. For how many years? For 15 years. She gave the authority. She signed a charter account. She said that they can do the tradings with the Eastern countries for more than 15 years. The company started the business formally in 1613. The Mughal Emperor Jahangir also issued a royal permission to English to establish their warehouses or factory at Surat. So now there in 1617, Sir Thomas Roy. In 1617, Sir Thomas Roy, he arrived to India from the court of James I. He sought permission. The Sir Thomas Roy, he was a ambassador. What do you mean by ambassador? Ambassador is nothing but representative from one country to the another country. So he came as a ambassador, royal ambassador from the court of James I. He sought permission from Jahangir to establish factories in other places of Mughal Empire. So now the English established factories at Agra, Ahmedabad, Chandigarh and moreover Braj places also. So now by the 17th century, the English had established Bombay, Madras and Calcutta as the centers of their presidencies. By the later part of 18th century, the Englishman made Calcutta the capital. By the later part of 18th century, the English made Calcutta the capital city. They implemented their own civil and criminal procedure codes in the areas. After that comes the French. After the English, it is the French. The French. Okay, French. The French were the last European. They were the last European. Last European people to come to India. The French East India Company was formed in 1664 AD. Okay, during the reign of King Louis XIV. During that time, the East India Company was formed in 1664 during the reign of King Louis. The French established the factory at Surat. They established the factory at Surat, Mahe, Karaikal, Balasora, etc. Then now later it came to be known as Puducherry or Pondicherry. Now Dupleix, who arrived in Pondicherry as a Governor General of the French, had the high ambition of establishing the French as a major power in South India. Okay, so far you are studying about the European countries, the Portuguese, the Dutch, the French and the English. They were the people who wanted to do the trade with India. Okay, they were the people who were doing trade with India. And now the Portuguese and the Dutch. Okay. Okay, so how did they lose their supremacy? That is, commercial and maritime rivalry between France and England was the primary reason behind the Carnatic Wars. That is, these Carnatic Wars were fought between 1746 and 1763. These wars were fought between the French and the Dutch British troops in India. These wars were fought mainly due to the rivalry that existed between France and Britain in Europe. So there the three Carnatic Wars would have been started. Okay, now I'll explain you about the Battle of Plassey. Okay. Now, the Battle of Plassey. Al-Wardi Khan, the Nawab of Bengal, died in 1756. 1756 he had died. And his grandson, this Ali-Wardi Khan. Ali-Wardi Khan's grandson, Siraj-ud-Dawla, he came to the throne. The Battle of Plassey took place between the young Nawab Siraj-ud-Dawla and the British in the year 1757. Okay, 1757. So what are the reasons? What are the reasons for the Battle of Plassey? First reason is the misuse of dusters. Misuse of dusters. And now what is dusted? Dusted means what? Dusted means it is the license. It is the license. It is the license that can ensure anyone to import or export without paying tax. They are coming without license. They are getting the license. The license that can ensure anyone to import or export without paying the tax and transport goods anywhere. Wherever they like, they can transport their goods. That is the dusted. And this Siraj-ud-Dawla was furious. Siraj-ud-Dawla was furious that the officials, they misused the dusted. By this, the causing losses, heavy losses to the government treasury. The government treasury became empty as because the misuse of dusted. One has to pay the tax, but they took advantage because they got the license. Because of the license, they are not paying the tax, and thus the company became empty. It became empty. The treasure became empty. That was the first reason. And the second reason is mending of the fort without permission. The British repaired the fort. That is, second one is the mending of forts. Yes, mending of forts. The British, they repaired the forts of Calcutta and placed cannons. They placed the cannons in them. What are cannons? Cannons means a large, heavy piece of artillery typically mounted on wheels. This is used in warfare. Powerful guns usually attached to 2 to 3 wheels. It is attached to 2 or 4 wheelers. It is attached. That is the cannons. It is a gun. Usually it is used in the warfare. That was kept in the the fort. The British refused to do so, angering the Nawab further. And that was the reason why the Nawab got angry. First reason is the misuse of dustic, and second one is the mending of fort and keeping the cannons. And moreover, they are rejecting to obey the Nawab. And thirdly, it is the Black Room tragedy. What is Black Room tragedy is Siraj-ud-Dawla he conquered the Fort William easily and imprisoned some of the Britishers. Okay, he imprisoned some of the Britishers. Third one is the Black. Yes, it is the Black Room tragedy. Okay, Siraj-ud-Dawla conquered Fort William easily and he imprisoned some of the Britishers. He imprisoned about 146 Englishmen. How many? Yes, he imprisoned 146 British Englishmen in a small room where it was so congested, it was so dark, people were suffocated, they were not able to breathe. Okay, and in the fort of which 123 of them died. Okay, because of this suffocation, the 123 people died. This is called as the Black Hole tragedy. This engraved Robert Clive, and now Robert Clive became angry. Now this is called as he arrived in Bengal with a huge army. Now enraged, he was got enraged. Robert Clive, what did he do? He arrived in Bengal with a huge army, and moreover, what he did, Robert Clive, he attracted rich people, rich locals like Manik Chen, then Om Chen, Jagat Seth. All these people he attracted towards him. He was successful in convincing Mir Jafar. He told Mir Jafar, the military head of Siraj-ud-Dawla. He was the military head. Who? Mir Jafar. Mir Jafar was the military head of Siraj-ud-Dawla to stay neutral. He said to stay neutral in the battle by offering. Robert Clive said that this Mir Jafar would remain neutral in the battle because he will make him the Nawabship. He said that he will give him the Nawabship. Okay, and so this one post of Nawab, encouraged by these developments, Robert Clive declared war against Siraj-ud-Dawla. Everything went according to his plan. Okay, now Siraj-ud-Dawla, Siraj-ud-Dawla was defeated, and now Siraj-ud-Dawla wanted to escape from the battlefield, was captured and was killed. This was the reason for Battle of Plassey. Next you will come to know about the outcome, the result of the Battle of Plassey. This war brought out the immorality, lack of unity among the Indians. The Indians itself did not have unity. Mir Jafar, he became the Nawab of Bengal, and the company gained exclusive rights to trade in Bengal. Okay, now in a nutshell, Mir Jafar became a victim of the company and its employees. So even though the treasury went bankruptcy due to the greedy nature, so what happened? Mir Jafar as an efficient Nawab and brought in his nephew Mir Qasim as the new Nawab. And now lastly, I will be explaining about the Battle of Plassey in the next class. Battle of Plassey and the three Carnatic wars will be explained for you in the next class. I am sure children you are understood. If you have any question, you can just ask me. I am ready to answer you. Okay children, you copy the notes. You get through the notes, and I am talking to the children, those children who is going to write their board exam. You will have to get thorough with your examination. Yeah, when the exam will come, don't wait for the date to be announced. You should announce your own date. Get prepared for your exam. examination. Okay, children? And I think you will study. You will not waste your time. Be at home. Be safe. Thank you.